All right, hi everybody. My name is Robert. This is Scott Leroy Marketing's Placester 101 class. This is our basic Placester setup class. If you can hear me, go ahead and sound off there in the chat window. I did send a little bit of a message a while ago, but I didn't get any response there. Want to make sure you guys can hear me. Excuse me. In this chat window is where you can send over questions as we go through the class. Definitely make sure to do that if I'm moving too quickly, or if there's something you don't understand, or if there's something you'd like to go over again, definitely send that over. I also sent some instructions there. We are recording this class. That's what you saw there on the screen a second ago. That's going to be available at slmtraining.com. So S is in Scott, L is in Leroy, M is in marketing, training.com. Should be available just a few hours after we get finished here. We record all of our Placester 101 and 201 classes. I do see a yes, we can hear. That's good. And then also, if you are having trouble, I guess if you can hear this message, I don't need to cover that next section there. But then the last really big thing before we get started is if you're using Microsoft Internet Explorer, you need to change your browser because the Placester interface will not load in Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer was retired about 2.5 years ago in favor of the new Microsoft browser called Edge. You can use Edge if you have Windows 10, but if you have Windows 7 or 8, you'd want to upgrade to a more modern browser like Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox. If you're on Mac, Safari works just fine. It's just Microsoft Internet Explorer does not work. So you can't use that with the Placester interface. So if you can, switch over to one of those other browsers that we mentioned there. Okay, let me go ahead and exit our slideshow here. Switch over to MyKW. So our first step to getting started working on our Placester site is actually to get logged into mykw.kw.com. You don't change your site by logging directly into the site, nor do you do it by logging into Placester.com. You don't have a login for Placester.com. You actually access the Placester administration through MyKW. So definitely get logged into your mykw.kw.com homepage. Give you guys a second to get that taken care of. All right, and then once we're on our MyKW homepage, up in our top black menu, we'll hover over Technology, and then we'll click on this third option down here, which is KW Websites. And then on this page, you should have a red button here that says Go to my website. If you don't have this button, if instead it says your site is being launched, we'll notify you when the site is ready to set up. That means one of two things. There are two requirements that are necessary to have this button here. One is that your @kw.com email address has to exist. You don't have to use it. You don't have to put it on your marketing materials. You never have to sign into it if you don't want to. It just has to exist in order for this site to be active on your profile here. And also your MLS ID needs to be added to the KW white pages. The first one we take care of for you when we set up your technology tools and everything. We create that KW email, so you don't have to worry about that part. But then for the MLS ID, that's actually something usually that your market center has to do. For most market centers, we don't have the ability to add that MLS ID in there for you, so you would want to contact your MCA to make sure that your MLS ID has been added to the KW white pages. Once both of those requirements are met, within roughly 24 hours, you'll get a notification to that KW email, as well as a pop-up notification when you first log into mykw.kw.com that the site is available for you to start setting up. So once you get those notifications, you can follow along with our Placester 101 class, or if you'd like for us to set your site up for you, we actually have that as a free service through your Market Center subscription. I just sent you guys the link to where you can request for us to do that there for you, or you can shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can get you that link if you're watching this on the recording. Now, the bad news is, unfortunately, even if the KW email and the MLS ID were taken care of right this second, unfortunately, there is that waiting period of roughly 24 hours before the site becomes available. So there's nothing we can do about it during the time of this class. So you would want to come back to the recording or join us in about 2 weeks for our Placester 101 when we come back around to it, or just have us set the site up for you. So if you do have this red button that says Go to my website, let's click on that to open up the Placester interface. And sometimes takes a few minutes, a few seconds to, there we go, load up there. Dang it, I always forget this part here. I need to unlaunch my site to show you guys how to relaunch the site. Okay, don't follow along with anything I just did. Pretend it didn't happen. Okay, once you're in your Placester interface, you're going to probably see some tiles across the top here. You can ignore this section if you want to. You can click Hide just to dismiss those. We're going to be working over here on the left under Quick Actions here. I don't know why it's highlighting all of that. Our first step is going to be to launch our site. If you have the launch site link over here, just click on that and that will launch your site. And if your site has already been launched, the launch site button won't be there and you won't have to follow that step. Launching your site is a one-click process. You don't have to type in any settings. You don't have to choose anything. You just click the button, it's launched, period. And then what it'll do is take you here to the list of the sites that are on your account. For most people, there should be just one site in this list. It should be your empty site right here. It won't say brand name here. It'll actually be empty. It just says this for us because we cleared it out and put something generic in there. But for most people, this will be empty and there'll just be one site listed here. A couple of exceptions to that is sometimes we see where somehow Placester has generated a second site for the agent, and so they have two free sites available to them. You're welcome to use both of those sites if they're both able to be launched. There's nothing stopping you. We're only going to show how to set up one site, and then you can set up the other one any other way that you want. And then another couple of exceptions is if you have accidentally clicked this plus sign here and created a second site, in that case, you'll only be able to launch one of those sites. So if you have the second site and it's not able to be launched, but the first one was launched, you'd want to disable one in order to launch the other one. And you can do that over here on the right. And then the third exception to that is if you're a member of the commercial, farm and ranch, actually that's it, commercial or farm and ranch division, you get an additional site for each of those divisions. You used to get an additional site for the luxury division, but what we found out recently is that they've changed it to, instead of getting an additional site, you get a new theme for the existing site for the luxury division. So if you're a member of commercial or farm and ranch, that should be an additional site here. If you are a member there and you're not seeing the second or third site there, definitely reach out to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com or reach out directly to Placester at support@placester.com, and we'll try to figure out how to get that other site added to your account there because that is part of your membership to commercial or farm and ranch. Okay, once we've got that out of the way, we've got the site launched. We're going to click on Edit Site here, and if your site was already launched from the dashboard, you would click on Edit Site over on the left instead. That'll take us to the same place. This is going to take us to our site settings page, and I'm going to zoom in one more time since this is narrower. This is going to take us to site settings right here. That's what this page is down here. Actually, you know what? Let me zoom back out. We're going to be working our way down from the top down here to lead capture. Custom domain, site tracking, site verification, and SSL are all covered in Placester 201, which those are also recorded at slmtraining.com. You can watch those anytime you want, or we'll be doing that next Wednesday, same time. So we're going to start up at the top here under the listings section with IDX integration. IDX stands for Internet Data Exchange. That's the connection between your site and the MLS that sends listing information over to your site so people can search for listings. By default, the IDX connection that's selected for your site is the KWLS. That's the Keller Williams Listing Service, and that's going to be only KW listings. No listings outside of the company would be able to be found on your site. So you want to select your local MLS instead so that all listings in your area can be searchable on your site rather than just KW listings. The way that you would do that is if your MLS is listed here on this page, it's as simple as over on the right, clicking on Use this MLS for your actual MLS here. Now, if your MLS is not listed on this page, there's a specific process that each MLS requests for agents to do. Sometimes it's an email, sometimes it's paperwork, sometimes it's a call, sometimes you sign into an account. It's different for each MLS, and for some offices, we set IDX up for you, so definitely reach out to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com to see if we do set that up for you. If we don't, what we'll do is direct you to your Market Center leadership. They should have the email or the paperwork or whatever other steps that are necessary to get the IDX connected to your website. Now, that process can take anywhere from 2 to 3 days to 2 to 3 weeks. That's completely dependent on how quickly the MLS processes the paperwork once it's submitted, and depending on the MLS, it can take a long time or a short time. And we're not really in control of that. Even if we did submit the IDX request for you, we have to wait on the MLS to process it. So if you don't have your IDX connection for your local MLS listed here, definitely get in contact with us or with your Market Center leadership to get that set up for you. If your MLS is shown here, you want to make sure to click Use this MLS on the right. And then one other thing to double check is underneath that name of your MLS, make sure there is a region selected. Most times the first time you select an MLS, it'll actually say none here in the parentheses. And if it says none, you won't be able to save it and the listings from that MLS won't be shown on your site. It'll just keep you on this page and nothing changes. So if it does say none here under region, you'd want to click Edit over on the right, and then you would choose the region that your MLS serves. Most MLSs are only going to have one region here, but maybe if your MLS is in a multi-state region or something like that, you can select multiple states. We're just going to leave Arkansas here because that's the MLS we're connected to here. Don't check this button. I'm not even sure why they have that there, but don't check it. Also, some MLSs require you to request the IDX integration using this link here through Placester. Again, get in touch with your Market Center leadership to figure out what that process looks like. Once you've got your MLS selected, or if you're leaving the KWLS selected, you're going to come down and click on your green Save button. This Save button is going to become very familiar to you because unless you click the green Save button, no changes on your site get applied. So any changes that you made, if you exit what you're working on without clicking Save, they'll just be discarded and you have to redo them. So make sure to click on your green Save button once you've made some changes. And then it'll reload. Once we've got our IDX integration selected, under that we're going to talk about global and featured listings, global filters, featured listings. Before we go into each of the either one of those, I want to explain the difference there. Global filters is where you're choosing what listings are able to be found using the listing search feature of your site. In this section, you don't want to be very narrow. You want to allow as many listings as possible to be found by people that are on your site. Under that, we've got featured listings, and this is the one where you want to be more specific. This is where you're choosing which listings show on your home page. This doesn't affect what listings can be found like Global Filters does. It just affects what shows on the home page of your website. And they work very similarly. We're just going to go through each of those in turn. Let's click on Global Filters to open that up. And we have a couple of options here. By default, what's selected is all listings, even though it doesn't switch to that tab. By default, it's going to allow all listings from the MLS to be found on your site. In the vast majority of cases, you want to leave it as it is. You don't want to make any changes because you do want to show all listings on your site. Now, in a few very rare cases, say your MLS covers your entire state and it's a big state like Texas. I know that's not how the MLS works in Texas. There are different boards all over the place. But say there was one MLS board for Texas and it showed all listings in the entire state of Texas, and you lived in El Paso and you didn't want to show listings from Dallas-Fort Worth because you don't live anywhere near Dallas-Fort Worth. It's like a 9-hour drive. This is where you would come into global filters and say, okay, I only want to show listings from the El Paso area. So you could do a city of El Paso proper. You could do a couple of zip codes for El Paso itself and some cities around it, things like that. Excuse me. And again, you wouldn't want to get too specific here. You wouldn't want to say, I only want to show 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet above 500K in El Paso on my site, because that's going to limit you to maybe, I don't know, 24 listings that are able to be found on your site versus all of the hundreds or thousands that are available in your area. You don't want to get too narrow here, but if you were to do something like that, like say, we're in the Arkansas MLS here that may cover the entire state, but I only wanted to work in Little Rock specifically. That's the only area I wanted to work in. I didn't want to do anything outside of that. What I could do is come down to add search criteria here in this drop down, and if I scroll down to city here, if I click that and then click add over on the right, now I could add Little Rock. There we go, Little Rock right there. And if I wanted to, I could add North Little Rock as well. So now if I were to come down and search this, this would tell me there are only about 2,500 listings in Little Rock and North Little Rock combined, and those are the only listings that would be available to be found on our site. what was I saying there? And if I wanted to apply that, I could scroll down here and click Save, and only listings in Little Rock proper and North Little Rock would be able to be found on my site. I'm not going to save that because I don't want to limit myself here, but that's a little bit about how that works. The one that we really don't recommend that you use is specific listings here. This is where you would search for particular listings that are able to be found on your site, and you would have to manually manage those as they came on and off the market. What you would do is use these search criteria up here and add any additional ones that you would want to use. And you would manually say, I want to show this listing, and this listing on my website. And no listings that were not in this list over here on the right would be able to be found on your site. I don't even know why they have this option in global filters. You can use that if you really want to, but we very strongly suggest not to, because you would have to come in every single day, and if a listing came off the market, it would be removed from this list, and if a new listing met your criteria, you would need to manually move it over here to the right. So definitely discourage you from using that. Instead, we recommend in most cases to go ahead and display all listings from the MLS and save that. And yes, we do want to save that. Under that, we've got featured listings. This is where you want to get a lot more specific. This is choosing which listings show on your home page. And depending on the theme you choose, which is where we're going to go next, you can show anywhere from 4 to 16 listings on the home page as featured listings. The theme that we're going to work with shows 4, but some other themes allow up to 16 listings to be shown on the home page as featured. You have basically the same options here with the filtered and the specific listings. So say, I wanted to work in, I don't know, more luxury properties. I wanted to show more higher priced listings on my homepage. By default, the listings that are on your homepage are going to be the highest priced listings, but often they're commercial or development properties. So instead, what I might want to do is do a minimum baths of 2, minimum beds of 3, minimum price of $500,000. And then we're going to add a search criteria of, what are we going to do there? Type. What can we do for type? And your options are going to be different based on your MLS, what fields they have in the MLS. There we go. Property type, is that what I want? We're going to add that there. And we want it to be a residential. We don't want to show vacant land. We don't want to show commercial industrial. We don't want to show rental properties. We don't want to show multifamily properties like duplexes and quadruplexes on the home page. Instead, we want actual residential luxury listings. And so listings that are over 3.2 and over 500K that are residential type will more than likely be luxury listings. Under that, we've got a section where we can sort these that are shown on the homepage. By default, price is going to be highest first, and if you're working with luxury listings, you're wanting to show those on your homepage, probably what you want to leave there. But say you were working on the other end of the spectrum. Say you wanted to work with flippers or income homes or what are they called? First homes, things like that, first-time home buyers, and you wanted to show lower-priced homes. You could switch those things around and instead show we're not going to do a minimum beds and baths, we're going to do a maximum price of $300K, and we only want it to be residential, and our default sort is going to be lowest price first. So these are going to be those fixer-upper type houses. Or you could do something like, I want to work with historic homes. Say you wanted to, you could do your, what are they called, options up here, and you could change that sort by year built oldest. Or say I only wanted to work with new construction. I could sort these by year built newest. There's a lot of really cool options here. We're going to leave this as days on site newest. This is going to show the freshest listings in the MLS that meet these criteria. And then this last drop down here is for default results per page. There's a page type that you can create, which we're not going to cover in this class. We're going to cover that in our Placester 201. So you're welcome to refer back to that on our slmtraining.com or next week when we do Placester 201. There's a page type called featured listings that's going to take these criteria that you're setting here and show a page full of nothing but those type of listings. And you can show 10, 20, or 50 listings per page on that type of page. We're going to leave this with 10 because we're not going into the featured listings page type. So if I click search here, it's going to show me that there are about 6,300 listings in my area that are under 300K in the residential property type. So if I scroll down here to the bottom and save that, If I come up here to the top right and click on View Live Site, that's going to show me what Scott's site looks like right now. And if I scroll down just a little bit, here's featured properties. And so these are all going to be under 300K, and these are going to be sorted by the newest properties that have come onto the market like today. So this looks like a little bit older property, but it's under 200K. So this would be a great starter home. This is a brand new construction, it looks like. It looks like there's still materials in the yard there. They're finishing that up. So these are the featured properties that we selected in this section right here. We're going to skip past open house info because this is for a single property site, which your sites are not single property sites. That's something you'd want to talk to Placester about directly. We can get you their contact information if they need it. It's also grayed out and it's not available for this site type. Under that, we're going to drop down to our site design section, and we're going to go here into theme selection. So a theme selection is where you're choosing the look and feel of your site, kind of the arrangement and the colors. You're not able to drag and drop and 100% customize the site, unfortunately. This isn't WordPress, it's not Wix, it's not any of those other drag and drop type site designers. This is you choose your theme and you're stuck with what the theme has. They're all going to be kind of similar. You're going to have your menu at the top and a logo and contact information. You're going to have a slideshow and you're going to have the search feature. They all look pretty similar. The Madison here, the one that's selected by default, and the Madison Metro, these are KW specific. Only KW agents get these two themes, and there are some special things about these two themes that we'll cover in a little bit. One of those special things is that down here you can choose the header type, but we'll get to that in just a second. I got ahead of myself. So when you're choosing your theme, you're not choosing your theme based on this picture that's here in the background. You control what this picture is. So the Plymouth theme here does not always have to have this nice fall type house right here. The Fremont theme does not always have to show this luxury home with a nice pool. You control what these pictures are. So don't choose your theme based on the picture back there. You're choosing your theme based on the arrangement and the look and feel. Say, I'm going to leave it with the Madison just to show you what that looks like. It's the KW specific one. And we can control the images back here. Under that, most themes have a section where you can choose some colors. This is controlling some of the background colors or some of the text colors or some of the button colors. On the Madison theme, we're choosing the background color of this header section and the search button here and some of the other links and buttons on the site. So if you click through these colors, you'll see what that changes on the site there. And then also down here on the Madison theme specifically, you can choose either to have the solid color top header there with the white, what are they called, text and accents, or you can switch it around to have the white header section there with the accents and the links and buttons being the color that you selected here. So in this case, it's not going to show me a preview there, but what would happen is we'd have a white background and the links and buttons would be this gray-blue color that I had selected. And then down here, also exclusive to the Madison theme, you can control what this text right here says over the search bar. By default, it's going to say the best place to find your home, but you can change what it says there anytime. You're limited to about 60 characters here, so it can't be super long. And then we get questions all the time. Can I change this font? Can I change the color? Can I change the size? Can I change the positioning? No. It's always going to be white. It's always going to be this size. It's always going to be in the center, and it's always going to be in that font. All you're changing is what the text actually says. So we usually do something like your home search starts here. And then once we've made all our changes, we're going to come down and click Save down at the bottom. Remember, you got to click your Save button or else your changes aren't going to be applied to the site. So if I come back and refresh Scott's site here, now we've got that new text of your home search starts here. We've got that new white header section with the gray-blue accent colors like I had selected. Dropping down now, we're going to come down here to the slideshow, and this is why I was telling you don't choose your theme based on the pictures that are sliding through in the background here, because you're controlling those pictures right here in this section. There are a couple of default slideshows that come with the site, and you can select any of those using the green button here. And if you want to see what the pictures are in those slideshows, you just use these arrows on the right or the left. You can have up to 5 images in the slideshow at a time. You can have as few as 1, so it's a static image behind the search bar there, but you can slide through up to 5, no more than 5. And you can only have 1 slideshow selected, so you can't have it go from interiors down to variety down to luxury properties. It's only going to show the 5 images that are in in whichever one you select. You can also create your own custom slideshow using the plus sign up here at the top, and you can also edit any of these existing slideshows. To edit an existing slideshow, you do select here, and you can upload new pictures in place of the images they have there. You can remove pictures by clicking on delete, and you can also change the text that shows over the image. It's going to be down here in the bottom left, and you can also apply links to each of those images, and I'm going to go over that in just a minute when we create a custom slideshow. So we're going to go back. Yes, I do want to continue. So we're going to go back and create a custom slideshow. Now, before we do that, I want to point out your attention right here to this please visit this help article link. The slideshow images, the dimensions that they want are going to be a little bit different for each theme. If you click on this link here, it's going to tell you the dimensions that you're supposed to use for each theme. They're usually roughly 1600 by 600 pixels, 1600 wide by 600 tall, but it'll tell you specifically if you're using the Fremont theme, it has to be this size, or it wants to be this size. If you're using the what's it called, Vancouver theme, it needs to be this size. And it also gives you tips and instructions for how to resize those images. We're not going to cover that in this class because it's covered right here in this help article from Placester. They've got step-by-step, go to this site, upload your image, crop it, resize it, and then you can put it into your slideshow. Really easy to do there. The one it doesn't list here is the Madison and the Madison Metro theme, because those are KW specific. Nobody but KW agents gets the Madison or the Madison Metro. So if you're using one of those themes, you might want to write this down. The dimensions for the slideshow images on the home page are 1600 pixels wide by 660 pixels tall. Now, if your image is wider than that, it's not a problem because it's going to scale it down to fit in the width that's available. However, if your image is taller than that, it's going to cut off the top and bottom until it's 660 pixels tall. So if your image is 1000 pixels tall, you're going to lose about 350 pixels, 125 at the top, 125 down at the bottom. 175 at the top, 175 at the bottom, where only the middle will show. And I'll show you guys what that looks like on the live site in just a minute when we create our custom slideshow. So we're going to click our plus sign to create a new slideshow, and we're going to call this, you can name it whatever you want to. I'm going to call it the class slideshow. And again, you can upload up to 5 images. You can't have any more than 5 images in a slideshow. I'm going to upload 5 images here, and I've pre-downloaded some images here. That's not where I want it to be. Pre-downloaded some images, main slideshow, there we go. Just to show you what different image dimensions are going to look like. Get these put in place here. That's not what I want. There we go. Okay, so I've uploaded 5 different images here. Some of them are a lot closer to dimensions that we're supposed to be using than others. So this first image here is about 1600 pixels wide and about 600 pixels tall. So that one will fit a lot better than the next one, which is a lot taller than the other one. It's actually going to cut it off right about here and then right about here. We actually won't be able to see any of the dock or these ships up in the top. It's just going to go right across this boot here, and I'll show you what that looks like on the home page. You can also, like I said, on the homepage here, we've got this text that goes through with the images that are sliding through. Again, it's always going to be in that spot, always that size, always that color, always that font. You're just changing what it says there in this box under here for caption. So I'm going to do a test caption here just to show you what that looks like. And then you can also apply a link to each of these individual slideshow images as they come through. So for example, I used to live in Pensacola, Florida. It's a tourist beach town. And if I were an agent there, I would maybe get a picture of the downtown area, which is very lively, lots of shopping, lots of dancing, lots of food. And I would get a picture of that area and put it on my slideshow here, and I might apply a link to the Downtown Association. Or say your service area is a big military town and you wanted to, or maybe there's a big museum or a college or something like that. You could get a picture of whatever that feature is, put it on your site here, and link to that college or that military installment or that museum or whatever. You can link to anything that you want to in these slideshow images. You can link to internal pages on your own site. Say you've got a specific listing that you're showing in the slideshow there. You can link to that listings page right there on the image. So like I said, you can link to anywhere that you want to in that link spot there. It does want the full HTTP:// and then the rest of the website address there. I'm not going to apply a link. Actually, yeah, I am. There we go. I'm going to link that to our homepage just so I can show you what that looks like. So once I've got all that set up, we're going to scroll down to the bottom and make sure to click our Save button. And if I come and refresh Scott's site, now we've got those new images in place. So here's my much wider than it is tall, go back. Here's my much wider than it is tall image with the, what's that called, a hot air balloon. It's got that test caption down there, that text that I put in there. You notice that might be a little bit hard to read. So when you're putting images in your slideshow here, try to keep in mind to keep sort of a dark area in the bottom left, because again, that text is always going to be white. It's not going to have any outline and you can't change the color. So try to keep a dark area near the bottom left of your picture if you want that caption to show up better. And then also, if I click on this image, you see how my mouse turned into the little pointer finger there? If I click on that, it's going to take me over to the Scott Leroy Marketing website because I applied that link to it. Unfortunately, there's not a way for this to open in a new tab. It's going to open in the same tab. So if you are sending somebody outside of your website, be cautious of that. Now, you remember our picture with the boots here? Let me go back. Go back. There we go. Our picture with the boots here. Remember, there are some ships up here and there's a dock down here, but we're not seeing them because the image is too tall. So it cut off the top and bottom and is only showing us the center of that image. Same here for this lighthouse. You can barely tell this was a lighthouse. There's a whole lot more lighthouse above and below what it's showing here, but it's only showing the middle 660 pixels. So remember, keep in mind that your images need to be a lot wider than they are tall, about 1600 pixels wide, 600 pixels tall. Okay. Coming back over to our site settings section, we just finished up slideshow here. For certifications, these are going to show down near the bottom of your site. You can have up to 6 certifications selected, and you can't select certifications that you haven't actually earned. Keep that in mind. If you aren't a member of CRS, you can't select CRS, you know, that kind of thing. But if you're in the States, if you're in the America, we're going to have to select equal housing opportunity because that's the law. You're required to have that on your website. And then also, if you're a member of a board of realtors, you have to select the National Association of Realtors logo here as well because you're a member of NAR. You have to display that on your website. After that, you can select up to 4 additional certifications here, and you'll know that they're selected by the blue border around them. If you're in Canada, you don't have to legally select either of those, so you can select whatever other certifications that you have. Now, I do want to point out this is not all certifications that are possible for any real estate agent to have. You can submit a request for new certifications to be added to this section, but we have no idea how long that takes, and it would go through Placester. We can't add the certification for you, so you'd want to contact Placester using these links over here on the right. What was I saying there? So once you've got your certification selected, again, make sure to scroll to the very bottom and click on your green Save button. And once that's saved, I'll refresh Scott's site, show you where those go. They're all the way down here at the bottom. There's our equal housing and our National Association of Realtors. Any additional, what are they called, certifications would show down here at the bottom as well. These cannot be moved to the top. They will only show down here at the bottom. That's not something that you can control in the site. Dropping down here to social networks, we left these boxes pre-filled just to show you what the formatting needs to look like when you're putting in your social media links here. So if you're a member of Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, any of these places here, you can link to any of those profiles on your website. Depending on the theme that you choose, some are going to show up here in the top left, like the Madison. Some have a drop-down ribbon here that link them there. Some put them over on the right side. It depends on the theme that you choose. And you can link to any of these social media networks. If you're on a different network like, I don't know, 500 Pixels or Last.fm or whatever, those links aren't available here. It's only these that are listed. So when you're putting in a social media link here, it only wants the part after the slash. So say your Facebook page was facebook.com/Scott Leroy Marketing. You notice facebook.com/ is already here. You don't have to put that in here again. We get a lot of people that mess up their social media links by pasting in the whole http:// facebook.com/ all of that stuff. You don't need all of that. You only want the part after the first slash. And it's the same for all of these boxes here. A couple of things to note is that in the LinkedIn link, after the first slash, after this one right here, there's another slash, and it does need to include that section there. It only wants the part after the first slash. It doesn't want the part after the final slash. So you make sure to include that in slash and then whatever the rest of your link is for LinkedIn. Same down here for YouTube. Now for YouTube, you can link to your channel, you can link to a specific video, anything that you want there, and you can find your link by going to YouTube, and it may be, say, C right here, it may say user, it may say channel, it may say, if you want to link to a specific video, it would be watch, question mark, blah, blah, blah. You only want the part after the first slash. Any additional slashes need to stay in this box here. Now, if you need help finding your social media links that go in this section, I'm sending you guys a video here that we put together for how to find those social media links. Once you've got those, you can put those into this section here. And then if you scroll down, you got to make sure to click your Save button. And then those will show up here in the top left if you're on the Madison theme, and in different places if you're using different themes. Moving down to our search form here, this is an interesting section. If you're using the Madison or the Madison Metro theme, the only option you have to select here is the Omnibox with AutoSuggest. Now, one thing about the Omnibox is that it's KW specific. Nobody but KW agents gets the Omnibox if they have a Placester site. Other Placester users are getting a more traditional drop-down based search box. They can't just type what they're looking for. They have to choose what they're looking for out of drop-downs. Now, this is a pretty great tool as far as I'm concerned. We think it's pretty great over here at Scott Leroy Marketing. Not everybody thinks so, and it's up to you which one you want to use, but let me explain what the Omnibox is. It's very similar to like on Zillow or Realtor.com. You're searching for in plain text what you want to find. So you would do something like, let me come over to Scott's site here, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet, max of 400K with a pool. Okay, so instead of having to do a drop down for beds, baths, square feet, 400,000 as the maximum price, and then there is no option to do any keywords or features like a pool. If I hit enter there, now it's going to show me listings in the MLS that are, as if I had selected drop downs, it did it for me, up to 400K, minimum beds of 3, minimum baths of 2, minimum square feet 1,500, and has a pool. So all of these listings are going to meet all of those criteria there. Now, I put really loose, wow, this is a really nice house here. I could live there. What was I saying there? I put in really loose, what are they called? Criteria there just to search by to show you. But that's how the Omnibox works. It works as if you had selected drop-downs, but it selects the drop-downs for you based on what you type. Now again, if you're using the Madison or the Madison Metro theme, you only have the Omnibox as an option. If you want to have the additional, more traditional search boxes, you have to switch to one of the other themes. So you can't use the Madison or the Madison Metro. I'm going to switch over here to the Plymouth instead, save that. And if I go back to search form, now I've got some additional options here. Now, most of the other themes still have the Omnibox. It's not only the Madison and the Madison Metro that have the Omnibox, but the Omnibox is the only one that they have. Other themes do have the Omnibox, but not all of them. I need to go through and get the list of which ones do and don't. I keep meaning to do that and I forget. But other themes will have the more traditional drop-down based search boxes. And you're just choosing down here in this section, which drop-down do I want to be first? Do I want it to be price? Do I want city, zip, or neighborhood? And then once you've got the one that shows on the home page selected, when you click next, this is where you're choosing which one shows on the listing search page. So you've got two separate search boxes, one for the home page, one on the listing search page. You can leave it as minimal so you get the same drop downs in both places, or if we come down here to advanced, they can have up to all of these other drop downs that they can select from on the listing search page as well. So if I save that, I'll come back and let you know what that looks like on Scott's site. So now we've got that new theme selected, got these different drop downs here. Max price of 200,000, minimum beds of 2, minimum baths of 2. Search that. You notice there is no drop down for pool or fence or view or HOA or anything like that. And then now we've got this more advanced drop down selections here on the listing search page. Okay, now one little glitch that we've seen happen with the search boxes there. If you've selected a different theme like the Plymouth here, and you've chosen one of the more traditional drop-down search boxes, and you decide, I want to go back to the Madison or the Madison Metro, there's a funny thing that happens. Let me go back to the Metro here. Excuse me, the Madison. Save that. What happens is if I go back to the Madison and have already selected the drop-down type search bar, it makes it look a little funky. It will still have those drop-downs and it will still work, but you notice it looks really bad. It's a lot wider than it's supposed to be. The search button is a lot wider than the drop-downs because it's expecting to try to put that into the place that the Omnibox is supposed to go to. So if you change your theme, choose one of the drop-down search boxes, and then change back to the Madison, you have to return to the search form and resave the Omnibox instead, and then it'll show that on your home page there. There we go. Okay. Dropping down here to the menu, go ahead and get your fingers ready for the mouse and the keyboard because we're going to do a little bit of work here. For the menu here, you can add links to anywhere that you want in your menu. Links to internal pages on your site have already been added here. You've got link back to the home page, listing search page, the about page, the blog listing page, and the contact page. There's an additional page that was created with your site that isn't by default added to the menu that we usually recommend adding there. It's the Your Favorite Listings page. This is what's called a client profile type page, and that's covered in Placester 201, the different types of pages. What happens here is if someone registers on your site and they save some properties, this Your Favorite Listings page will list all of those properties that they've saved. And that's while they are logged in. You're not seeing what's on this page. The client is seeing what's on this page. So we're going to add Your Favorite Listings page here, and we'll click Add over to the right. So now that menu button has been added to our menu. If we were to save this, it would show to the far right of our menu as the most recent one that's been added. But what we can do is click and drag these around. We can reorder them this way. So now this is the second link in our menu. Or a really neat option is, say I dragged this on top of listing search here. You notice that dotted line is around listing search rather than around this blank space as if I were moving it. So if I let go of the mouse on top of listing search, you'll see that Your Favorite Listings is now indented. That means that on the home page, or excuse me, on the website, if I hover over listing search, I'm going to get a drop down that has Your Favorite Listings in it. So let's save that, see what that looks like. Now if I hover over listing search, I've got that new link for Your Favorite Listings as the drop down there. And then additionally, we're going to add another menu option here because everybody wants for clients to be able to download their mobile app from their website. Really easy to do. We're going to come down to our drop down at the bottom, and instead of selecting one of the pages from the site, instead we're going to select custom URL. This is where we get to paste in our own link that'll go to an outside place on the to another site or somewhere inside the site without it being a page. This is also a great way to add a link to a specific listing in the menu. You can definitely do that here. We can get you some instructions for how to do that if you'll shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. But for now, we're going to add a link to our app. So we're going to put in something like download my app, or free home search app, or search homes on the go, something like that. And then down here in URL, this is where we're going to paste in our KW app link. I'm going to show you how to find that sort of. We're going to come back over to our MyKW, which should still be open in another tab. This is Placester where we've been working. MyKW should still be open. We're going to go back to our MyKW homepage. And in our eEdge control panel, under the My Marketing section, we're going to click the plus sign just to the right of that. And then we'll click on Manage eAgency Website. Now this is where I'm going to have to not be able to show you the rest of the process because Scott doesn't have the agent what are they called, options that you're going to have as an agent. Scott isn't an agent in the white pages, so he can't have all the things that you guys are going to have here. Once you click on Manage eAgency Website, it's going to take you into the eAgency administration. Don't get confused with the eAgency website wording there. The eAgency site was retired about 2 years ago by KW International. It's not a site you need to worry about. It's old, it's ugly, it's no good, and it's not supported anymore. We're not going to be able to get you any support on it, neither is KW International. The only reason this site administration is still around is because the app is administered through this administration here. So once you open that up, over on the left side, you've got a section 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.0. You're going to click on section 4.0, and then in that section, once it drops down, you're going to click on section 4.5, mobile property search, and then over on the right, if it's not already selected, you're going to have a drop down where you're going to select your market center. Once you do that, immediately below that, it's going to show a link for http://app.kw.com/ and then a code that starts with KW. That is your personalized app link. That's only for you. No other agent has that same app link. So you're going to copy that entire thing, the whole http:// blah, blah, blah. All of that, highlight it and copy it. And we'll come back over to Placester, and we're going to put in our http:// we're going to paste that in here. Something like that. Now I'm going to take out this last section here because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 isn't an actual app link there. But you're going to paste in all of that, and it's going to have your personalized app code at the end beginning with KW. The tooltip here, I'm going to show you what that looks like. There we go. The tooltip is simply, if it's hovered over on the menu, the tooltip will drop down with some more explanation of what that menu item is. I'll show you what that looks like on the site. Once you've got all 3 of those in there, and the tooltip is optional, you don't have to have it in there. All that's required is the label and the URL. Once you've got those in there, we'll save that and then come back and refresh the site. There we go. So now we've got this new menu item for download my app, and you notice as I hover over it, I've got that little thing that drops down. This is a tooltip. That's the tooltip that we put in that 3rd box. And if I click on that, that's going to take me to the KW app download page. And if you paste it in your link properly, your information is going to show here in the center, your picture, your name, your service area. If you need help with that, let us know. We can get that added to your site for you really easy. Okay, where was I? Okay, so we just finished menu. Now we'll drop down here to site info, and this is going to take up the majority of the rest of our time. I'm going to try not to go too much longer than 2, but I'm pretty sure we're going to go past 2, so please bear with me there. I'm going to try to move pretty quickly. We'll open up site info, and all this information, most of this information is pretty self-explanatory once we get past the first section. The brand name here is what's going to show across the top of the site in big letters next to your logo here. And different themes are going to put this in different places. Some have it on the left, some have it on the right, some have it down in a ribbon thing. You're just choosing what to show big. And then underneath the tagline is the subtitle that shows a little bit smaller underneath the brand name. So for the brand name, I'm just going to put Scott Leroy. And then your real estate resource. Actually, I'm going to put local in there as well. Now, you can put anything that you want to here. Just know that people are actually going to see this if you check this box here. What was I going to say there? If you don't check this box, these aren't going to display on the site, but something does have to be in this brand name box. You can leave this one blank if you want to, the tagline, but there has to be something in brand name, but it doesn't have to display on the site if you leave this box unchecked. So your tagline can be anything you want it to be. It can be your slogan, tagline, motto, catchphrase, whatever you've got there. You can put that in there. Under that, we've got a spot where we can upload a logo. We're going to ignore select a KW logo because not all KW logos are found in this section. And then we've seen it be about 50-50 whether or not this section will even load. It's usually a lot better just to upload your own file for your Market Center logo if your Market Center requires you to have it there. Otherwise, you can just leave the default KW logo that it's got there, and it will update the colors if you're using the Madison theme. It'll switch it between the red and the white if you're switching between the solid and the white background on the Madison header section. Where was I there? But you can upload your own logo there just using upload file right here. Now, we did have one question a few months ago where someone thought that since there's a logo added right here and I still have the upload file button, that means I can upload a second logo. No, that's not the case. If you've got a logo here and you click upload file and upload a new file, it's going to replace this logo here, okay? Under that, we do recommend checking both of these boxes so that these logos and this, this logo and this brand name and tagline display on your site, but that's optional for you to show on your site. Double check with your Market Center if it's required to have the KW logo on your site. Some Market Centers and some MLSs require that legally, so you want to double check about that. Under that, we've got this section for favicon. This shows up here in the browser tab. You notice on our website here, there is no favicon in this section, so it's showing me this little folded page thing. But for Placester over here, it's got our little, what's that, geometric P here on the MyKW page here. It's got the red square with the white KW. That's the favicon that we upload when we set up sites for you guys, and I'm going to do that here. If you guys want this favicon link, we can get that to you. Just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. Excuse me, this favicon file. This is a teeny tiny thing. It's actually going to show this size. It's going to be 16 pixels by 16 pixels. Never going to be any bigger than what shows up here in the browser tab. So this is not usually the place to put your picture. People aren't going to be able to tell it's you. It's just going to look funny. If your logo is pretty simple, if it's not a bunch of text, it might be safe to put your favicon in this spot right here. If your logo is just like a shape or an image or just a house, probably a good spot to put that there in the favicon. The KW logo, the regular one where it says KW Realty or your Market Center logo, not a good fit for this because it's a bunch of text and it just shrinks it down to where it's unreadable. That's why we use this one right here, and if you need that, we can get that to you. Under that, contact details is pretty self-explanatory. This is your contact information. Pretty easy. And then this is your picture right here. Upload this nice picture of Scott. There we go. Doesn't he look like Tom Felton? Next time you see him, tell him he looks like Tom Felton. Under that, office details, again, pretty self-explanatory. Company is going to be by default, or excuse me, when we do this for you, it's Keller Williams Realty. If your market center has a DBA name that's required to be displayed on the site for compliance reasons, double check with your market center what that DBA name is. We're just going to put Keller Williams Realty. And then for email, this is supposed to be the contact email for your office. However, when we set up sites for you guys, we usually just copy your email and your phone number down to these two boxes here. Now, I'm going to express a little bit of conscientious objector to that for my own personal feelings. This is my feelings. This does not reflect Scott Leroy Marketing, and it's not the way we set you up when we set up your site. But my feeling about it is if they're coming down to try to contact your office via email or via phone, they have already exhausted the avenues for contacting you. That means you were either on the other line or you didn't respond to the email or something like that, and they're trying to reach your office because they're interested maybe in a property. I don't want my office to lose that lead and not contribute to profit share just because I'm on the other line. So for me, I would put my actual office email and phone in this section here because no matter which theme you select, they're passing up at least 3 opportunities to contact you before they see this office information. Your contact information shows up near the top of the page from that information we entered a little earlier. There's a contact form on every single page. And then your contact information shows at least one more time before the office contact information shows underneath it. So if they're trying to contact the office, they're actually trying to contact the office. So I don't want them contacting me because I'm on the other line. Okay, but you can go ahead and put in your email and your phone number in this section. Apparently this didn't copy. There we go. Address is just your market center address. So whatever that is. And then down here for the SEO section, the meta title and the meta description, you're going to get very familiar with these 2 boxes because they're available for each and everything that you create on the site. Here for the home page, but also on every blog post, every page, every testimonial, and every area that you add to your site have their own meta title and meta description. I'm not going to get too far into detail about these right here. We do have our special SEO class if you want to check that out. We can shoot that over to you. Just send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. Excuse me, what was I saying there? But for now, I'm going to outline what these are and where these show. The meta title shows in 2 places. One is up here in the browser tab. You see where it says brand name or Placester or MyKW Home. That's the meta title. It shows in the browser tab. It also shows on search engines. There we go. As the blue link that you actually click on in the search engine results. So you're telling Google what to display in this spot. Couple of caveats here, and they're not really like big issues. It's just that the meta title will get truncated with a ... after roughly 55 characters. It doesn't hurt anything if your meta title is a little longer than that, but you just want to make sure your most specific, most important information is up front. So it would be something like Scott Leroy, that's whose site this is. You can put a phone number there. A lot of people do that. Search homes for sale in Orlando, Florida. Keller, Williams Realty. Gosh, can't type. Okay, so this is going to be longer than 55 characters, so it'll get truncated at some point, probably about the time that Keller starts here. But that's okay because the most important, most specific information is up front. And then for the meta description, this will only show on search engines. It's actually the gray text that shows underneath the blue link for the search engine result. You've got a little bit more space here. You've got 155 characters before it truncates with that ... But again, you can be longer than that. It just won't show the rest of it on the search engine. You can be a little bit more verbose. This is supposed to be a helpful, human-readable description of what's going to be found on your site before someone clicks on that blue link in the search engine result. This is not the place to load up quote-unquote meta tags. That used to be the thing to do about 10 or 12 years ago, but search engines have gotten a lot more sophisticated, and what they want in this meta description is a regular, natural language description of what's going to be found on this site. So, search homes for sale in and around Orlando, Florida, with Scott Leroy, your local real estate resource. Something like that. Again, you've got about 155 characters before it cuts it off, but it doesn't hurt anything for it to be a little bit longer there. Again, actual real live people are going to be reading this when you show up in search engine results. So you want it to be something that's legible. You don't want it to be homes for sale in Orlando, property, for sale in Orlando, land for sale in Orlando, real estate for sale in Orlando. You can tell how that would be really annoying to read because it's basically saying the same thing over and over and over with slightly different wording. That's not the way that the meta description works anymore. You want it to be, again, a helpful, person-readable description of what's going to be found on that page. Once you've got all this information here on your site, you want to make sure to scroll down and click on your green Save button. And that's all going to be applied to the site at the same time. So let's refresh and see what that looks like. All right, so now we've got our new brand name up here. That's that Scott Leroy. Under that, we've got our tagline in a little bit bolder but smaller font. Over on the right, we've got our contact information, your name, email me, and phone number. The email me link, we've got a special video that shows exactly how that email me link works. If you click on that and nothing happens on your computer there, let us know. We can send you the explanation of why that's happening. It's not broken. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to. It's just your computer isn't set up to use it the way that it's supposed to. What am I talking about? Scroll down a little more. Here's your contact information again. And then finally, here's that office contact information. It doesn't even show the email address, but you notice they scrolled past 3 ways to contact you. 1, 2, actually 4, 3, 4 ways to contact you before they saw that office information. So again, my personal feeling is put your office contact information in that section. Okay, last section we're going to cover, or last couple of sections we're going to cover. One is language here. I almost don't want to cover this because it's stupid. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I'm not sure why this section has been added to the site because it's very underpopulated. There's not much to do here. Theoretically, say you spoke Farsi or Hindi or Mandarin or Japanese or something like that, and you wrote content on your site in that language. You would want to tell search engines, some of the content on my site is written in such and such language. Unfortunately, the only options in this section are English, French Canadian, and Canadian English. Not even sure why this is an option here. Hopefully they'll be adding to that list, but right now I don't know. I'm just going to ignore it for now. Under that, we've got our auto-publish section. This is also grayed out because it's not part of what KW provides through the KW websites powered by Placester. There is a media library that Placester provides that will automatically publish blogs and things to your site. If you want to contact Placester directly about upgrading to that package where they can do that for you, you would want to reach out directly to Placester. We don't have any information about how that works, but that is an option there. And then the last thing we're going to cover is lead capture. This is potentially the most important or second most important thing I'll show you in class today. This is the second, there are two main purposes for your website. One is so people can find listings, and one is so people can get in contact with you about those listings. So this is that second one, making sure that people can get in contact with you. So you've got your lead capture settings here. We've got two options. Passively capture leads means that people can view as many property details as they want on your site without having to submit a contact form. They're not going to be forced to. And then you've got aggressively capture leads, which means they're going to be forced to submit a contact form before they can view any property pages. Neither of these, to me, again, this is my own personal preference, is perfect. There is an upgrade package from Placester that starts at, I believe, $90 a month. They may have changed that recently. You'd want to get in contact with Placester directly. But there is an upgrade package that includes some customization here in this section. You could tell it such as after they view maybe 3 property details, then pop up and force them to fill out a contact form before they view any more properties. If it were me, if I were an agent, I would look into adding this expense using the red light, green light method in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller, kind of the KW Bible. If you don't have a copy of that book, definitely get it. Your market center should have it on hand, or you can get it from Amazon really easily. It's the Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller, KW founder. And then down here in this bottom section for lead forwarding, this is email addresses that are going to be notified when a lead comes into your site. You, of course, want to put your regular email in here so that when someone fills out the contact form or registers for an account or saves for a property, rather than using the email me or phone number links that are on the home page, this email address is going to be notified. So you definitely want to put in your Scott@ScottLeroyMarketing.com. You want your regular email address in here. And then you also want to put in a comma. Can't be a semicolon, can't be a colon, can't be a space, can't be a dash, can't be an underscore, only a comma right here after your first email. And then we want to put in your e-edge email address. That's so that leads that come into this site can automatically be added into your e-edge database to put them onto an automatic campaign. The whole point of the site is to collect leads, and then once you've got those leads, to do something with them, to contact them. So we need to get your e-edge email into this spot here. Pretty easy to do. We're going to go back to our MyKW homepage, and again in our e-edge control panel, we're just going to click on View Contacts down here under My Contacts. And then once the e-edge interface loads, let me zoom in just a little bit here. Up in the top right, we'll click on Account, and then we're going to go to My Account. And then in this section, you want the e-edge email. It's going to end in @kwrealty.com if you've got the free e-edge, or if you're paying for e-edge Pro, it's going to end in @ and then your custom domain. But you want your e-edge email or your CRM email if you're using Pro. That's this email right here. So we're going to copy that, take that over to Placester, and paste it in. Again, has to be separated by a comma. Can't be anything but a comma. And then you can also add additional emails in here. Say you're a member of a team or you're the lead agent on a team and you want all of your team members to be notified when a lead comes into the website, or you've got a lead coordinator and you want them to be notified. You can definitely add those in, all separated by commas as well. Once you've got those emails in there to be notified when leads come in, make sure to click your Save button. And now it's going to show this message, your lead capture settings have been saved. Not sure why it doesn't just close this section like it does on every other section on this page, but now this email address and this email address will be notified when leads come into the site. That's my main email, and then this is getting leads into my e-edge database. That's all we're going to cover in our Placester 101 class. We're not too far over on time today. I am going to leave it open for a minute or two for questions, but if you don't have any questions or you're not interested in hearing other people's questions, definitely feel free to go about your day. But I'll leave the recording going for a minute or two. You guys can send over your questions in the chat window. I'll be here for that.